All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Hansi Singh, and today myself and Dr. Kyle Hayblom, will be talking about the long-range ski season outlook using, state-of-the-art science to determine what the start and maybe some of the middle of your ski season might look like this year. To begin, just to introduce us a bit. So, first of all, this is our third webinar or long range weather webinar. During these webinars, what we do is we go over different elements of the long range weather outlook over the next 6 months and how they can potentially affect your decision as, say, a trader or as a operator in an environmentally sensitive industry. And so there are so many different ways that we can predict weather in the long term. And so we really want to provide you the latest science to be able to understand what the forecast is and why it is what it is. So, a little bit about me. I'm an Earth system scientist. I used to be a professor, and I used to be a fellow at the US Department of Energy. So, my co-founder, Dr. Kalai Ramea, and we decided to start Planette because we really wanted to bring the latest in science from the research world to the real world to really help with real world decision making. And today, in terms of real world decision making, the decision making we're predominantly going to talk about is where to ski and when. There's many different types of decisions that we can make, and this is kind of a fun one. So we hope that this is a fun webinar for you to understand what the ski season outlooks are. My guest, Dr. Kyle Hayblom, is an Earth system scientist here at Planette AI. And he's really an expert on the outdoors and he's a ski enthusiast. So he's the one that's going to be presenting the ski season outlook today, which is the predominant topic of the webinar. So this webinar is a weekly series. We'll have another one next week, and I'll introduce that at the end as well. So before we get started, I just want to say something about traditional weather forecasting, which is done with 14-day weather models versus the type of long-range forecasting that we do. So traditional weather forecasting is performed with an atmosphere model. And so when we say that this is an atmosphere model, it allows the atmosphere to change, and that's it. And because the atmosphere has a very short memory, at most 14 days, this is why weather forecasts, as you know them, say on your phone, are no good after 14 days. In order to predict beyond 14 days, we really have to use a much more complex modeling framework. And this is where Earth system models come in. So, Earth system models are comprehensive physics-based models of not only the atmosphere, but also the ocean, the land, and the ice. And because the ocean, land, and ice have a much longer memory than the atmosphere, they can be used to predict weather over much longer time horizons. Please note if, we're talking about, is it going to be a snowy Christmas? Is it going to snow on Christmas Day? We can't actually tell you that, but we can tell you, do the fundamentals support snow at your location in the month of December? So this isn't magic, it's science, and we present the best science that's out there so that you can make the best decisions possible. So in today's webinar, first, before we get started on the ski season outlook, I really just, there's so many interesting weather phenomena going on right now. And so I just want to spend a few minutes talking about that. I'll say something about tropical cyclone activity, as well as a really exciting stratospheric warming over Antarctica. It's pretty incredible what's going on over there right now. And then from there, I'll pass it on to Dr. Hayblom, who will talk about the fundamentals of what determines a good start to the ski season, and then go over forecasts for all of your favorite regions. So first, tropical cyclones. There's a lot of tropical cyclone activity. This is what is going on over the Atlantic right now. Thankfully, it looks like neither of these is projected to actually make landfall. I just want to say that the fundamentals here are, of course, really conducive to a very active hurricane season this year, as well as a tropical cyclone season over the Pacific. And this is because sea surface temperatures have been very warm. And we will talk a little bit more about that even when it comes to the ski season, because that's what really gives us a lot of predictability in terms of the long range outlook. Note that the season was probably suppressed at the beginning because of some high pressure centers that were sort of sitting over regions of formation of hurricanes that sort of created a lot of dry air and divergence, as well as a lot of wind shear. Wind shear does not support the formation of these types of storm systems. But now we sort of have these optimal conditions. And so even though we're kind of nearing the end of the season, we're seeing a lot of activity. So this is Humberto and Imelda. And then just recently over the West Pacific, we had some major cyclone activity, including Ragasa and Buelo. So there's just a lot going on here. And this is expected because just our sea surface temperatures are just really warm right now. And then the second thing I wanted to highlight, which is really interesting for implications for weather over Australia, is that we have seen the fourth sudden stratospheric warming ever recorded over the southern hemisphere. So earlier, when you see that kind of blue circle, that's the polar vortex. And then what you have seen here is that the polar vortex has broken down. And the reason why this is really interesting, you see Australia right here at the edge. And, the last time that this happened in 2019, this set the stage for the bushfires that happened that year. So it set the stage for really warm and really dry conditions in Eastern Australia. And that really supported, set the stage for those really damaging bushfires that year. So it's important to sort of keep an eye out at the forecast of how this sort of particular phenomena is going to impact Australia. Because just like in the Northern Hemisphere, this is going to cause some really wild fluctuations in the jet, and we will see impacts. So now I am going to turn over the mic to Dr. Hayblom to talk about some really fun things.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Singh. So I'm beyond excited to be able to give everyone a sneak peek into Planette's forecasts and then show you a little bit about how you can use them to make those important long-term decisions, such as how to maximize your fun in the mountains this year. So when it comes to forecasting winter seasons, particularly the ski season this far out, there's really two key factors at play. When we're forecasting, a week ahead, there may be 100 different things that all contribute to how good that ski day is. But when we're looking at seasons, there's two main questions. The first, is it going to be cold enough for that rainfall to turn into snow? And then the second, do we have the weather patterns and conditions that are favorable to have precipitation in the first place? So is it cold enough? And do we have enough snow? All right, if we could go to the next slide. So looking towards this incoming season, we can look at the Earth at where it is today. We can forecast it into the future, and then we can start to put together the clues that allow us to understand what are the conditions setting up and how do they favor certain weather patterns. So one of our main indicators that allow us to figure out these clues are the sea surface temperatures. So this is the temperature of the ocean surface globally. So as we can see, and as Dr. Singh alluded to a little earlier, globally, these temperatures are really warm right now. This is largely driven by our climate change signal, but we are seeing some additional patches of additional warming on top of that. So one in particular that we're seeing is in the North Pacific. So we can see that circled on the map here. So we're seeing crazy high temperatures in this region. What this will tend to do is change circulation patterns. So in the Northern Hemisphere, we typically observe this as changes in the waviness of the jet stream. So the way that that jet stream tends to set up throughout each month, that really decides the different type of weather patterns that we observe in each location. So going through these ski forecasts that I'm going to show you in a minute, we'll see how this anomalous warming in the North Pacific is going to impact a few different regions. Okay, so if we go to the next slide, let's jump into looking at some forecasts. So to begin, we're going to start with the region that's nearest and dearest to my heart. Right now, I'm living in San Francisco. I also spent the last half decade of my life living in British Columbia. So I'm a West Coast fanatic. I think that, the best skiing's out here. I'm a little biased, but okay. So looking at this region, right now we're looking at the forecasted November precipitation. So this is the start of the ski season out here. We can see one region really pop out. So this is the kind of general Pacific Northwest and moving inland towards the Canadian Rockies. So in our forecasts, we're seeing quite a bit of precipitation during this time. This is largely driven by that warming in the Pacific that we were just looking at. That is going to favor a jet position that is likely to bring a lot of moisture into this region. Given that, we're forecasting favorable conditions for good skiing in the Pacific Northwest. So the lower BC coast, think Whistler Blackcomb, out towards the Canadian Rockies, so Revelstoke, Banff, Golden, as well as North Washington. We do see some increased moisture, or the conditions favorable to increase moisture towards most of the West Coast over North America. However, if we go to the next slide, those weather patterns being forced by that warming in the Pacific are also favoring warmer temperatures over more of the continental US, so moving more inland. So those warmer temperatures are gonna favor a delayed onset to the season. So when we're looking at more central to southern Rockies, including Utah, even Northern California, it is quite possible that that ski season is going to have to push a little further into the year, just because we may not see cold enough temperatures to make snow. That being said, a lot of these ski areas are fairly high in elevation. As we move into later December, January, and onward in the season, it is still fairly likely that there'll be conditions that are at least conducive to some form of skiing. Okay, if we could move forward to the next slide, please. So moving east towards the eastern US and Atlantic Canada. So any of us that may be located in New York, any of these regions that may be heading out towards upstate New York, Vermont, Quebec, things are unfortunately looking a little less favorable for this region. So given those weather patterns, we're expecting warmer temperatures in more of the central US and southern Canada, moving towards eastern or the eastern coast as well. This is likely to lead to less favorable conditions in November through December, likely to also delay the start of that ski season. So we are seeing warmer temperatures, but then in addition to that, if we go to the next slide, we are likely to have weather conditions that are conducive to less total precipitation fall as well. So I think sunnier days, warmer than usual days, which, may be nice if we need to commute into work, but a lot less nice if we want to head into the slopes. That being said, I actually grew up in this area, and if anything is true, is that, even if you have a warm December, that winter always comes. So they may not be the most optimal ski years this year, but we will likely still see some snow come January, February, maybe even into March as well. Okay, if we could go to the next slide, please. Hopping across the pond, across the Pacific, to Japan. So there's another major ski region. This is also where we see some interesting things going on. So consistent with that, warm blob of temperatures over this region, stretching out through most of the northern Pacific. We see warm temperatures in Japan as well at the start of the season. And then in addition to those warm temperatures, we see less rainfall or less precipitation fall as well. So, even though these are relatively stable ski conditions over most of Japan, it is entirely possible that we see a bit of a slow start to the year. We'll keep a close eye on this. Hopefully this improves sooner rather than later. Yeah, you may want to plan on later December, January for this region. All right, and then lastly, we can take a quick look at Europe as well. So this one's a little more tricky. We are not seeing too many signals that are conducive to a lot of predictability in this region. That being said, we are seeing some hints that this may be a drier year. This is particularly true for the Apennines in Italy. That being said, it might be drier, but it's probably still too early to tell when it comes to many of the other major ski regions, such as the Alps, the Pyrenees, up in Scandinavia. We will be keeping a close eye on it though, and I'm sure that we'll have a better sense in the weeks to come. All right, if we go to the next slide. So that's all we have today. So to recap though, if you want to get that early ski season in, we highly recommend turning your eyes towards the lower BC coast, the Northern Rockies of the Pacific Northwest. We really are seeing the setup for the best conditions in that area. If you're heading towards the lower western states, Eastern North America, or Japan, might be a good idea to delay that trip December, January, and even better, maybe into February. And then as it comes to Europe, probably still too close to tell, likely near normal conditions, but we'll keep a close eye on that for everyone.
Thank you so much for that, Kyle, Dr. Hayblom. Really appreciate everyone's time for being here. Please stay tuned for next week's webinar as well, where we're really going to dive into these ocean temperatures because there's some interesting things going on and lots of interesting possibilities, especially if, say into the new year, we see an El Nino crop up because we might see some real kind of record-breaking conditions if that's the case, given the state of the ocean temperatures over the globe. So I really want to dive into this. I think this is a great time to understand the implications of that. So if you are interested in learning more about our models, you can email me at hansi@planette.ai. Yeah, would love to hear from you. Would love to get any feedback from you. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. You can follow Planette on LinkedIn to just stay up to date on all of the latest things going on over here. So thank you so much. And now I think we'll just go ahead and open the floor for any thoughts, questions that folks have. Feel free to pop them in the chat or to speak up.
Hey, how do the confidence bands of your forecast change as you increase the time horizon? So you mentioned like your, I guess, center estimates for November, and how does it expand as time moves forward? And thank you for the presentation. It was super interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Guillaume. I really appreciate the feedback. So, Kyle, do you want to say something about some of these confidence intervals specifically for the ski season?
Yeah, totally. So general rule of thumb, as we move further into the future, that confidence band increases. We can really understand that further into the future is more uncertain, right? So we need to adjust those bands or that range of possibilities accordingly. That being said, there are certain conditions that do give us great predictability. So one example would be this patch of warming in the Pacific. So that tends to stay persistent. A lot of our internal models of the ocean are telling us that that's probably going to stick around for a little bit. That we know with relatively high certainty. Given the physics of the connection between the ocean and atmosphere, that gives us a decent amount of certainty about the atmosphere as well. And then what types of weather patterns are favored because of that setup. So, given certain conditions, we're able to narrow that confidence as far as we can into the future. But in general, as we move out, it starts to spread.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, Guillaume, I think that we really get these sort of really excellent windows of predictability when we get things like these sea surface temperature anomalies or when we get these large scale patterns, say like El Nino. Um, there are like, or for example, sudden stratospheric warmings, right? We have the QBO in a certain phase. Like these are the kinds of things where it really helps us get a good handle on what is possible. And so, of course, these long range outlooks, like, they are like by definition going to be more uncertain. But when we have these particular features that we know are going to be present, then that gives us even more predictability than usual. So you can think of this predictability as being like very sort of up and down, right? Sometimes you're just like, yeah, it's a huge amount of uncertainty, like we don't really know, right? And then other times because of the fundamentals, we have good prediction. And I mean, this is pretty important when it comes to like when we see a signal, we always want to understand what are the fundamentals that are creating that signal within our forecasting frameworks. And so we really want to make sure that the physics is aligned with the forecast that we're providing.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, how's it going? Good presentation. So yeah, this is focused on, just 1 month, in the future here, November. Most of the NOAA climate forecasts are kind of 3 month increments. Do you guys focus on this like a shorter time frame, or um, are you also looking at, three, quarterly forecasts, or what's kind of your main focus, I guess I'm just asking.
Oh, okay. So here we really wanted to emphasize kind of the beginning of the season. So this is why we focus predominantly on November and December. So once again, obviously, like the closer that you are to the time horizon, right? Like the more that we can trust the predictions. And we're seeing some really good hints of, why we believe these predictions are trustworthy at these time horizons. We do predict over longer time horizons as well. So our full outlooks are 6 month outlooks.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Think I might see a question in the chat. Okay. So Mitesh says, how does it look like in Boston and Buffalo for November and December? Do you expect it to be colder than normal in December? Kyle, do you want to take that?
Sure. So I could give you a more definitive answer and value if I was looking at our forecast right now, but I do remember off the top of my head that at least November, which we're seeing right now, we're expecting warmer temperatures. We're expecting drier conditions, and then that is expected to persist into December as well. So we do see a region of high pressure kind of centered over that area, and that tends to favor warmer weather conditions, drier weather conditions. and we expect that to be the case.
Yeah, and I think the cool relationship here with the sea surface temperatures is that, with those particular sea surface temperatures that we're seeing, with just across the board, like much warmer than usual conditions over the ocean, combined with that high pressure center that's sitting over North America, we really think that in some of these locations, particularly, that it does not look like it's going to favor good early season conditions. It just looks warmer and not super conducive to a ton of precipitation, which is what you would need for creating a good snowpack. Yeah, thank you for that question, Nitesh. I see another. Oh, okay, great. All right. Well, thank you all so much. And I think you know how to get in touch with us if you have further questions that, you'd like us to answer offline. And we are really looking forward to hopefully seeing you next week at our next webinar, where we will talk really about the fundamentals of these ocean temperatures and how they can give us a lot of extended range predictability into the future. So thank you so much. And we really look forward to seeing you next week.